Hi, I'm David Adams. I am your instructor for the Project Management course, and we are about to embark on a journey to learn about project management. The book we'll be using with the course is Just Enough Project Management. It's a book written by Dr. Curtis Cook. It's a very thin, concise book that will cover all the basics of project management. It'll be part of our study. The other thing you may want to do is get a 3-ring binder to have all of your lecture notes and slides that you'll download from D2L. It'll be very valuable in your study. Come with me on the journey to learn about the project management overview.
Project Management Overview. You'll be introduced to the Project Management Institute organization, what is project management and what it's not, the value and types of project management, what professional organizations and accreditations you can receive, and talk about just enough project management. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. In the 1960s, there were a lot of capital projects, including aerospace, construction, and the defense industries. A group of engineers got together and said, we need to do something to standardize how we do project management. It all started in 1969 when the Project Management Institute founded the Project Management Standardization. As time progressed, project management approaches and procedures were standardized, the PMP credential was started, the Project Book of Knowledge known as PMBOK had its first edition, and today there are over 1 million certified PMPs. The current edition of the PMBOK defines project management as the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet project requirements. The framework of the PMI approach has 5 processing groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. And each of these process groups are linked by the outputs which they can produce, with clear dependencies. There are over 47 processing steps. So as a first step to someone who's uninformed about the project management approach, they say, wow, that is overwhelming. I can't see my company doing all 5 phases and doing all 47 processing steps for our type of work. Most of our project is the same. It's repetitive with only a few variations. We use it just like the Nike slogan, just do it. So I'd like to relate to you a case study, a Nike job goes bad, for a job I was working on over 10 years ago. I was out in California and the regional vice president said, hey, let's go visit one of our best clients, a solar manufacturer. We're putting a new installation in there. And of course we went there and expecting to see rave reviews. The manager came in and he did nothing but scream at us for a full hour. We walked out with our heads hanging low. What happened? The project was behind schedule, costs were overrunning, and it wasn't working correctly. What could they do? The regional vice president turned his head to me in the car as we were driving away, said, what can we do? And I said, serendipity. The problem is that project management techniques were not being used, and I can rescue this job with project management. I would like to relate to you something I call the waterfall dilemma, the evolution of repetitive projects. When you do the job for the first time, you do the full project management, all 47 processing steps. But as you start to repeat, you do less and less. You just do some project management. And like Nike, you just do it. And as you get farther down the road, you do little or no project management, and it's just do it anyway. What happens if it's really not a copy-paste project and there are changes? Well, you're going to go down that waterfall, and it's not going to be pretty. I want to introduce to you a project management term called the triple constraint. It's sort of like squeezing a balloon. If you squeeze a balloon, the air goes from one side to the other. Something has to give. The triple constraint for a project means you don't have unlimited time, scope, or cost. So when you set that and you want to speed it up, it may cost you more or you may have to do less work. If you want the cost to go down, it may take more time or do less work. So there's always give and take, and you have to be very careful, and a project manager has to manage the triple constraint. I can tell you the project did turn out to be a success. We did rescue the project using project management techniques. We created a project charter and a project plan. We did a risk assessment, incorporated it into the project plan. We implemented scope control, and most importantly, we created a communication plan where we had communication specified daily, weekly, and monthly with the stakeholders, with teleconferences and meetings. It is important to recognize that not everything is a project. You need to differentiate between a project versus daily work. A project is a one-of-a-kind solution requiring customized solutions in many cases. There's a clear beginning and ending, and it requires the coordination and managing several independent elements, organizations, or resources. Whereas daily work is an ongoing event. It's often repeatable. It doesn't require quick response, and it can be done by an individual, dedicated team, or a work function. So can you differentiate what is a project and what is daily work? Check out this chart on the slide. Look at the 8 different work requirements. What's a project and what's daily work? I'll give you some time. Okay, what are the answers? Which of these are projects? Well, definitely building a fence around your property is a project, developing a crisis management process for the entire division, implementing the IT platform for your organization, and re-engineering the underperforming production plant are all projects. You can consider daily work as completing the monthly financial analysis of the department, or running a new department at work, or quality control for a factory line. Take a look at item number 2, planning the yearly vacation to your beach house. Is it a project or daily work? Well, it depends, because if it's your first time, it may be a project. If it's a year-to-year event, it's probably daily work. So as an executive, you need to know the work required. Is it labeled as a project or daily work? Because a project will cost you time and money to make things happen. So why should work be defined as a project? The value of project management can be summarized in 7 points. First of all, it establishes a single point of contact and accountability. It's the buck stops here, the project manager. The second point is you focus on meeting customer needs. It's spelled out in your project charter. A project management approach improves performance in time, cost, and specs, things we talked about in the triple constraint. The project management approach will reveal consistent results with the methodology. You focus on managing project scope and controlling change. And you often avoid disasters by managing risk. And lastly, the value of project management, it strengthens teams and improves morale. Let's talk about the evolution of the types of project management. There's the traditional and something called agile. Traditional is also called waterfall. Think of that as a linear sequential project cycle model, such as manufacturing and construction projects. And usually the customer is not involved until delivery at the end. Agile, on the other end, is also known as Scrum and a Kanban techniques. These are collaborative teams that work together for corresponding requirements and solutions through continuous evolution. And a lot of these are with software development projects, and the customers involved throughout the process. In other words, you discover features and deliverables as you go. A typical example of traditional project management waterfall style is a building. You put the foundation, you have the construction, then the finish, and then you deliver it to the customers. There are known sequential stages. And a typical Agile Scrum example is software development. I was involved years ago in developing a new price increase tool. The old method was sending out spreadsheets with customers and pricing proposed to over 200 salespeople and gathering those back for review and upload into our computer system. It was a nightmare. Imagine people changing different columns and data, and it just did not line up. Created a lot of extra work. The software solution was to have a central live database where many people at the same time could interact. The price increase setup was put in. The sales could review it with dashboard targets and historical lookup. Management could review, and the system was uploaded. It reduced hundreds of hours of evaluation, cleanup, and problems. And the advantage with the Agile approach, for each stage development, the software engineers came back to me and proposed different looks, takes, and evaluation. We optimized and saved a lot of time, and it really worked fantastic. The Agile approach allows discovering improvement as well as customer involvement. Circling back to professional organization and accreditation, PMI, or the Project Management Institute, is not the only game in town. It is the largest. There are over 600,000 members in the U.S. alone, and there are members worldwide. But there is something called APM, the Association for Project Management, that's UK-based with about 30,000 members. The International Association for Project Managers, IAPM, based in Liechtenstein, over 30,000 members, and the International Project Management Association. It's a Europe-based organization and targeting younger project managers. The group with the largest accreditations, of course, is PMI, and they started in 1984 with something called PMP, Project Management Professional. In 2003, they continued with a junior position called Certified Associate in Project Management, or CAPM, and has since established 11 other accreditations. So let's talk about the PMI credentials and what it's worth in the marketplace. The PMP, the Project Management Professional, does require a certification process, a 4-year degree, 36 months leading projects, 35 hours of what they call contact hours, which is training, and an exam. And if you do not have a 4-year degree, your secondary degree, it takes 60 months of leading projects for qualification. What you'll find, the PMP certification is the highest paid non-degreed credential that you can achieve and get a very high salary. Current research shows that a PMP certified project manager earns over $123,000 a year, and the market is showing a 33% growth over the next 5 years. And for those who don't have the months of leading projects, there's an interim step and you can get the CAPM certification, which only requires 23 hours of project management training and an exam. And again, a highly paid certification where the median pay is over $100,000 a year. And likewise, you can take advantage of the growth that's going to happen over the next 5 years. So there's 2 schools of thought when considering the PMI credentials. One is, as an executive, When you have projects, it is a wise decision to hire project managers who are certified PMP. And you may even want to consider yourself a PMP project manager as an interim step in your career path. The book I'm recommending is called Just Enough Project Management. It was written by a professor and PMP, Dr. Curtis Cook. It's a great book, only about 145 pages, and it quickly summarizes everything a project manager needs to do, and especially for small to medium projects. What I like is that this book is very straightforward, and you don't get buried in the project management process. It's just enough. A great overview for executives. So there's 4 phases of project management in the Just Enough Project Management approach. The PMI definition has 5 phases. What's different? Well, in the PMI approach, they break apart the executing and the monitoring and controlling. Whereas in the Just Enough Project Management approach, the real work is just control by itself. It covers the same, and it's a lot simpler looking at the 4 phases. I will provide you a brief breakdown of each of the 4 phases of the Just Enough Project Management approach. The first phase is initiate the project. That's when it's officially recognized as a project. A project manager is assigned and given authority, and that project manager must deliver a project charter. The second phase is plan the project. The project manager will gather his project team, and they'll identify all the tasks required to do 100% of the work. The project manager and the team will deliver a project plan and project baseline. This is where 90% of the work of a project manager is done and plan the project phase. The third phase is control the project. This is where the fun begins. Well-laid plans may go awry, so it's important for a project manager to control the process. Have those periodic meetings to record completion, identify variances, reconcile where they can, and if there's a scope change, they need to use scope change control and deliver status reports ongoing through the execution of the project. And the last phase is close the project. You'd be surprised how many project managers forget to do the last step and just kind of leave the project dangling. And there are 3 things the project manager is responsible: the handoff, the recycle, and the celebration. The handoff is make sure all those tasks were done, get sign off from the customer that they accepted it, pay all the vendors, and provide a formal project closure report. Recycle, deliver a lessons learned, because you may be doing projects you don't want to get stuck like the Nike job. And lastly, celebrate. Get your team out there and celebrate because they did a great job. Let's talk about the software we're going to be using in this class. There's 2 types. We need to do flowcharts and we need to do project schedule. There's budget software and there's professional software. Those of you who work for big companies most likely will get that software what's required. But for this class, flowcharts you can do with the MS Office type software. You can hand draw it. I like Google Drawings. For the scheduling, we're going to use free open source software called GanttProject, but there are other alternatives, but please check with me first what software you're going to use. Let's talk about project management scheduling software. Microsoft Project is excellent, but it's professional, very expensive, and you probably will only use about 10%. What I found was equal and very powerful is free. It's open, free source software that's applicable on multiple platforms. It's been around since 2003. It mimics what Microsoft Project does and it interfaces. It does all the things that we're going to do. And I tested this fully, and I believe it covers 95% of the features most used in Microsoft Project. This slide shows a screenshot of where you can download GanttProject. GanttProject.biz/download and follow the instructions for option 2. Until next time.